All right, well, we'll jump right in. View from the West podcast, the debut episode. My first guest ever, head coach of the Sterling Golden Warriors, John Schlemmer. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Fun, man. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
And honestly, you're probably doing me a huge favor because otherwise I'm sitting in my basement talking to myself, or I'm talking my wife's ear off about high school football that she's only interested for so long. And then, then we got to move on. So you're doing me a favor, I think.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I'm glad to get started talking about it as well. I mean, I think everybody's kind of been ready, and it's a fun time right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before we get into the upcoming season, let's go back. It's your 9th season as head coach. You've advanced to the playoffs 7 out of 8 years, including 2 trips to the semifinals. Coach, let's talk about, I know you're a Metamora High School graduate.
I am proud.
That's right. That's right. And also you played football and baseball there, and actually went on to play baseball in college, correct?
I did. I grew up in Metamora. Played. I was the son of a coach, my old man. He's a baseball coach, football coach, and I was able to surround myself with some pretty good players around me. So I was on some really good teams, football wise, throughout my career. Is probably why I'm here, doing what I'm doing today. A lot of good people, cool influences, guys that. Mentors that I look up to beyond belief, and that's why I'm here. So yeah, I had a good childhood, I guess, growing up, and it kind of led me to getting all this gray hair, doing what I'm currently doing now, but I wouldn't change it.
Well, I'm right there with you, and I don't have the excuse of coaching football, so I guess.
Sure.
So take me through. You played college baseball. And then you get back, once you're in teaching and it's high school football, not baseball that you want to coach. Take me through getting back from baseball into football.
I did. I played for 2 years at ICC, Illinois Central College down in East Peoria, and got to a point where I realized I couldn't hit. They're throwing, 85-mile-an-hour sliders, 92-mile-an-hour fastballs. It wasn't my thing. Just wasn't good enough. But I enjoyed it. And, I went down to Eastern after that. And after I was down to Eastern, and football is something I think I always wanted to coach. Enjoyed playing baseball, and my physical stature isn't anything impressive. So as a college football player, probably didn't have a whole lot of, probably wasn't going to go too far with that. But the game, I love the game. Everything that goes along with high school football in general. So, when I was was at Eastern and got a job up in Sterling right out of college, and got a great, opportunity. Greg King, who's our AD, and he was the head football coach, and kind of had a relationship with my dad. So it's not about what you know, it's who you know. And got lucky to get a job here in 5 years, an assistant under Greg, and then took over. And we've been kind of rolling since, and been really lucky to have what we got.
All right, so let's go back to that year you're hired, and you're the young hotshot head coach, and you know everything. What have you what did you think knew then, and what have you learned? What's changed in the time you've been a head coach?
That's a good question. I think probably I don't know. I was never a guy who thought I could do it all, because I'm not that dumb. I'm smart enough to know I can't. I've been lucky to have fantastic assistants, and so. There's things, and I think that first year you kind of think a little bit more about scheme. Scheme's kind of important to you, and we kind of changed our offense and did some things different defensively, and I think that was kind of a focus, and that's probably way down the road now. I mean, we kind of think we have a good scheme with what we do in all 3 phases, but it's more about relationships and getting to know kids, and just trying to find different ways to motivate kids. And we're really lucky here because, those first couple of years, I mean, you know me well enough that I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And I don't understand why these kids buy it, but they do. And I think they understand how much myself and our staff care about them. And man, they do some things that normal, ordinary kids can't do. And it's awesome to see really the way that they are able to buy into what we're selling and go from there.
Talk a little bit about, the consistency that your team produces, high-end, high-level consistency, winning games every year. And I know you're going to sell yourself short, but what goes into that consistency? You're not going to give yourself credit, so I gotta pin you down. What is it then?
Um, I think it's just, we talk about this as a staff all the time. First couple of years that we were staff, one of my sophomore coach, Dave Campbell, we talk all the time. We were always so nervous about everything. And we were playing somebody, and we were decent. We were 6-3, I think, my first year. And but we got in the mentality that I think we prepare. My staff prepares very, very well, because I don't know how to say this. We're not scared of anything, but man, we don't take anything for granted, and we don't. Even those years in 16, 17, 18, 19, when we've had some pretty good teams, every week, we pucker up a little bit. We're nervous, and people might not think that when it comes to, because we've had so much success, but our staff, we don't take anything for granted. I think we prepare the same way we've prepared always, whether it's week 1, we've been lucky enough to play in a week 13 a couple times. And I think that consistency of we're always staying on our kids all the time. And we kind of stay the course when it comes to that. That's probably the thing that I think has transferred over, because we don't have an off day. We can't, we're pretty decent at times, but we're not good enough to have off days. And so as a coaching staff, you got to make sure that you let your kids understand that.
I guess, speaking of off days, you've probably had more than your fair share of off days in the last year. Take me through a little bit about what the last year has been like, but then also now, how you've been preparing, and now when you get the green light, you're about to, you're on the doorstep of starting up again.
Sure. My wife's more excited for me to get started with football than I think I am. I mean, getting home at 4:30 and, got toys all over the place. She's like, you need football. So it's been different, and everybody's gone through the same thing that we have. And you just look at the opportunities. We talked the other day. I bet I've watched my defensive coordinator, Mike LeMay. I bet he's watched every game from last year 10 times. And you get to a point where we're going back and we're watching games from 17, and you're looking for little things. And it's almost just fun to watch the games. But this last year, kind of getting prepared is, man, when you're sitting around and you're just thinking, okay, we got this, we really like our seniors. We really like our team. We think we got some really good players. And just knowing that those kids might have missed out on an opportunity to play, that's the thing that we struggled with, I think. And, shooting kids texts, hey, how's everything going? And I think you've probably talked to enough coaches. Resiliency is like something from the kids. I think they're ready, and they never really missed a beat, and which was cool. But once Wednesday, we got the verdict of the season. Man,
Yep.
That was cool. It was cool. I sent out an email to all of our kids and all of our parents, and just to see a couple of our seniors, have that opportunity to play was really, really cool.
Yeah, well, take me through, you referenced the team a little bit. What do you got, for this condensed spring season? What's your team look like? What's the makeup of it?
Well, we won't have huge numbers, I'll tell you that. I mean, we're our junior and senior classes, although we think that they have a lot of talent, like we have some really good players, we don't have a ton of kids. And so the ones, our depth maybe this year isn't going to be what it's been possibly in the last couple of years. But across the board, when we look at it, we say that, we have a lot of returning kids that have played in really, really big games, kids that have played in semifinal games, kids that have played against, top tier level talent. So, up front, I think offensively and defensively is where it starts. And, we're a little bit younger at time in places, but nonetheless, I think that we got to replace a quarterback, a kid who, Cooper Willman, who was an awfully good player for us for a couple years. So we got to figure out how to replace him. And, we think we have a couple guys that'll compete for that job. And, we got a couple good running backs that are coming back that are going to do a really good job for us. And, defensively, I think our linebacking crews, going to be pretty good. And, we throw all that all together. I mean, in a 6-game schedule, you got to kind of figure out what you want to do and the things that you need to implement and the things that you need to cut out. But we're going to get going.
How many coaches around the state roll their eyes when they hear you talking about needing to replace a quarterback? I think
you're right. We talked about it, probably so, because man, we've run through a stretch, and it just keeps from you go back my first year, Tanner Morse, and then you got into Sterling Thornton for a couple years, was the starter for us, and then Trey Morse, and then Cam Bailey took over, and him and Cooper split time, and then Coop last year. So we've been on a run, man. We've been on a run. We've had some really good, intelligent kids who and I was talking to a buddy the other day. I'm probably harder on my quarterbacks than it doesn't make sense why I played quarterback, and I'm just really, really hard on those guys. Expect so much out of them, and it's crazy. They just continue to deliver for us. So, we got 2 young kids, that junior and a sophomore, who are, we think are going to both be really good players. So it'll be kind of fun to see. And that whole summer battle, that's not there. It's going to be a pretty condensed sample size to see, and we've played 2 before, so it doesn't mean we can't do that again.
Talk a little bit about that. There is no kind of preseason, essentially. It's just you're going to practice and then you're going to get going. And the season, it'll be over. You think a 9-week season goes quick. Now think about 6.
You're exactly right. And you don't even have that build up to it. So it's going to be fun, because when we jump in and we got a lot of basketball players. We share with kids here, which is great. So we're not going to do a crazy amount of stuff before we get to that first practice. And we're going to jump into it, and then it's going to be, let's go. So it'll be fun.
Is there, I was thinking about it the other day. Does this spring season almost become like a preseason or like a tryout for some sophomores and juniors who are going to be then ready to go in the fall? I mean, less than a year away from their next season.
Yeah. But we got JV team here. We got a freshman team here.
Yeah.
I got like 16 seniors that, it's their time, it's their team. And, we're going to play to win. That's what we do.
Yeah.
We're still going to develop the heck out of kids in practice. And, if a kid earns that spot, then, then so be it. But, I got seniors that, I know there's no postseason this year, but that doesn't matter. I mean, we want to see our seniors play and succeed and get out there, but we also will have some younger kids that obviously, have earned the right to play it as well.
Well, you haven't lost a Western Big 6 game yet, so I'd say that's good enough motivation to, keep that streak going, right?
Well, sure, and we think the league's probably going to be, a little bit better this year. I mean, with some of the teams, and so, for us to find a way how to, you look at some of the offenses in the league, just look at some of the players, and I'm sure you've seen the schedule. We play everybody except, Galesburg, and I think they're going to be better just because they played so many young kids the last couple of years. And but it's something for us that we got to find a way. We got to find a way, and we're going to play good defense. And it's one of those things. I guess you win some games, and there's a target, and that's okay. What do they say? Pressure is a privilege. You want to make sure if you don't have any pressure on you, and it's all those little things aren't mattering, then man, what are you playing for? So our kids, they got a little bullseye on their back just because we had some success in the league last year, and we're gonna kind of embrace that though.
Well, I think you guys showed up and they invite you to the league, and now you're public enemy number 1. I think so.
Right, was what you want. What you want. I mean, I hope we're doing things right, and we're not the enemy for the wrong reasons. But if we're gonna have a bullseye on our back because we win games, that's where we want to be as a program.
All right, let's go. One of my favorite things we used to do, well, they still do it at WQID when I was there, was the mic'd up segment. Yeah. Get in the locker room before a game, get a coach mic'd up. You are always gracious, willing to do it, which we really appreciate. And you may be one of the best. You had some good pregame speeches. So let's break it down here. What's the art to that perfect pregame speech?
I don't know. I think I might black out a little bit or something, just kind of. It's not for me. It's not something I'm thinking about the week before, or hey, what am I gonna say? It's just, it probably sounds a little corny, but you look at those kids' eyes, and I mean, I tell people all the time. I think all coaches would probably to a certain extent, but like, they're locked in. They're excited. They're focused. They want to be there. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity. It's probably just some crazy guy yelling a lot, and his teams go out there and win. So, but I think just getting our kids, just letting them understand, hey, the moment's there, and embrace it. It's because we've played in some big games, and those are the ones that you want to play in. So, embrace that moment. Go out there and just play. And so, it's fun. It's fun.
All right. Well, we'll have a little fun here. We'll moving on to so let's say you're not in the locker room. You can't be there for whatever reason. Who's next up in the coaching depth chart to give that pregame speech? Who you going with?
I kind of went through funny thing, like a contingency plan. Obviously with COVID, you got to put. So I got a contingency plan. So if I'm gone, which they're probably all hoping, who's going to take this? And then if I think my defensive coordinator, Mike LeMay, man, he wears all of his emotions are on his sleeve. He loves it. He loves it. So I'm gonna try to do everything I can for the next couple of years to make sure that he stays around here. But one day I could see him being a very, very good head coach, and I think he'll do a good job at that. But he'd probably be the same as me, just get a little bit wacky and go from there. But I think he'd be good. He'd be fun.
Hey, that wacky and that loud, that's good TV. That's what we like. So.
Yeah, I guess.
All right. Hey, let's do a little no huddle here. We're gonna go some quick questions. Besides that blue and gold of Sterling, you got one. I'm a uniform guy, so this is where this is coming from. You got one team's uniform in the Western Big Six that you got to go with if you're not going with Sterling's colors.
Oh man, colors or the uniforms themselves?
It's kind of a multi-layered question, I suppose. It's maybe your choice.
I think UT's new ones are slick. I'm not like the black and the orange. He put them on Twitter or something. I think you probably retweeted it. I probably saw that from you, but
okay.
I think their new uniforms are pretty slick.
All right. Good one. Let's go. One current coach in the NFL, college, or in high school that you can add to your staff full-time. He's not taking anybody's job, but he's just kind of always there, giving you advice, giving you tips, giving you insight. Who's the coach you'd want around all the time?
I'm a Saban guy.
Okay.
I'm a Saban guy. I'm probably old and wrinkly like that. You got guys like Dabo, who great coach, just not my style as much maybe, but Nick Saban, for me, I don't know how he continues to do what he does, and with the staff turnover he has, and every year he's got a new coordinators and position coaches, and the dude just wins. I'd probably step down and just give him the reins, of course. But he's somebody who I think does it really, really well.
See, but the thing is, I would think you seem like more like Dabo on the sidelines because you're more animated and you're jumping up and down, but I can see
Saban. My animation usually is a little bit more like Saban. It's I get frustrated sometimes too, just like him. But for me to sit here and compare myself to Nick Saban's pretty. I cut that part out of this podcast. So.
That's the headline on Twitter.
Yeah.
Coach Schlemmer says he is Saban of the Western Big Six.
Similar. Yeah. No, that's goodness. If we could ever get to a place where we're having the success they've had, and that would be fun. But man, I really like him.
All right, there we go. Last question. This is going off the football field. Mm-hmm. If we're in Sterling, and in theory, under normal times, we can go out to a restaurant and have a normal meal. Where's the best bar or restaurant to get the best food?
I'm a Kelly's guy. Kelly's downtown, Kelly's Pub, and it's an Irish pub that serves Mexican food. So we'll think what, but it's every Thursday in the season. That's where my staff and we go there. There's probably 8 of us guys that cruise down there for dinner, and it's a cool atmosphere, small place, good food. The people are great there, so that's my choice.
All right, well, that kind of leads into my very last part of this question then. Where's the place to go to hear the Sterling Golden Warriors glory days stories? And if you're going to sit at the bar or you're going to be in the restaurant and you're going to hear people talking about, the good old days and we went for it on 4th down, and I want to hear all the stories.
Man, I think we're in a town that you can go about anywhere and hear that stuff. So, and that's the cool thing, whether you're, on Saturday or Friday mornings, I go out to breakfast with our media guys, and there's a table of probably about 10 to 12 former teachers that are guys that are retired, and man, they know a whole lot more about this place than I do, and it's fun just to kind of sit back and listen to them. But you know, in this town, you can really go anywhere and find somebody who's talking about it, and somebody who's, you know, tied to the program in some way, and they care about it, which is really cool.
And I think it's probably a little harder in Sterling to get away with like the little white lie about like what happened in the game, because you guys have the video, the audio, the stats from everything, from every era.
Amazing, isn't it?
You can't really flub that stuff in Sterling. Like, they know what was right and wrong.
Correct. In the last couple of years, especially, I mean, like, man, our media, what Jim Spencer and our foundation do is just, it's, you know, you go to, I've seen pictures. We played in the quarters in 17 over in Woodstock. And, you know, we were lucky enough to win that one as a first quarter final game we won. And I get back to the bus and I'm just getting pictures on my phone from a couple of the bars in town, restaurants. And I mean, packed, unbelievably, because they stream the games. And, you know, I think some people say, oh, that takes away, but I don't think it does. I think it gives people the opportunity to, you know, all over the country, people are watching our games. And some of my good friends, I got a friend down at Louisville, and, you know, my family, if my brother can't make it or whatever, everybody's watching the game. So it's really, really cool that we have that. And you're right. You can't really hide, because Spencer goes back to the 1910s or whatever with stats from, you know, us. I just watched our Rock Island game the other day. Last year was the first time since 1936 that we played them.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
And then the proximity, it's surprising, but that was a long, long stretch.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's all I got. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been a ton of fun. Maybe we'll circle back and reconvene in the middle of the season and see where we're at, how things are going.
I hope so, man. I hope so. I'd love to talk about it. And thanks for doing this. You guys, I mean, obviously when you were at WQAD, and I'm not going to pump you up too much. You're not that good at what you do.
Don't do it.
Yeah, you guys, I mean, you've kind of taken the standard and set it, and it's cool I think you talked to all coaches around this area, and there's no better coverage in the state than what, you know, they do, you do, and you know, for our kids, that's awesome. And, you know, as a coach, you can go back and my wife DVRs everything, so I can go back and watch all these things on DVR from 2 years ago. They're still on there, and it's just fun. You guys do a great job, and, you know, you specifically is kind of getting into this, and high school football it's a weird thing because people get really attached to it, myself included, but there's no better game than it. So thanks, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I think, you know, it's so much more than a game to me. You know, it's the community, and it's the people that are there, and it's when the fans are there and it's packed on a Friday night. Like, that to me it's a community event. And especially, you know, when you get to the town like Sterling, that they love their high school athletics regardless, but on a Friday night, man, it's a ton of fun. So that's what drew me to doing this. Like, that's what drew me to all of it. So, and don't pump up WQAD too much, because Dazzo's still there, and Dazzo's going to hear this. And so,
correct.
You know,
no, I'm not talking about him.
Okay, good.
Yeah, everybody else.
Glad that's on the record.
Yeah.
Good. We'll end on that then.
Sure.
Thank you so much, John. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, man.